Okay, we will start this meeting. Welcome all participants to the Youth Commission meeting on April 28, 2025. I call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. We will now move on to roll call. District 1 Commissioner Mishra is not here yet. District 2 Commissioner Pradeep Kumar.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Sanchez.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Arroyo.
Present.
District 5 Commissioner Liu.
Present.
District 6 Commissioner Bonsall.
Present.
District 7 Commissioner Vu is not here, and District 8 Commissioner Gonzalez Munoz is also not here yet. District 9 Commissioner Singh.
Present.
District 10 present. Citywide Commissioner Kucherowski.
Present.
We will then move on to item 2, consent calendar. Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve.
Any seconds?
I second.
Please vote on your screen. The vote passes unanimously by a score of 8-0. We will now move on to public record. Do we have any public record or correspondence today?
No, we don't.
Okay, then we'll move on to item 4, open forum. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on an item not on today's agenda?
No, we don't.
Okay, we will then move on to item 5A, informational, San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance annual report by PRNS Recreation Superintendent, Mr. Kajura.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, commissioners and the public. The report will actually be given by myself, Petra Reguero, and Israel Kanhuda. So good evening, and thank you again for having us. I am Petra Reguero, Program Manager with the Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services Department, and I oversee our grant-making programs for our department. I'll let Israel introduce himself.
Israel Kanhura, Superintendent for Youth Intervention Services, and I lead all youth intervention programs, which are the internal city violence prevention programs.
And together we lead the San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance efforts, along with our division manager, Laura Busso, and our deputy director, Olympia Williams. But today we're here to provide an annual report of the bringing everyone's strengths together, the youth intervention and the San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance. And this annual report will be for the 2023-2024 program year. It takes us a little bit of time to catch up and collect data and evaluate it. So today's report will be on 23-24, along with giving you an update on our strategic work plan for the Alliance. So we wanted to give some background just on the structure of the Alliance. The structure is really implemented in a collective impact model. And so we have two key bodies that really implement the work and really helps us to achieve our objectives. And so the first one is the policy team, and the second is a technical team. The policy team is chaired by Mayor Mahan and also co-chaired by the San Jose Police Department's Chief of Police and Paul Joseph, Chief of Police. So policy team really sets the direction of the Alliance. It really evaluates policies related to the work that we do. It provides resources, establishes goals and objectives, and then monitors the progress that we set in our strategic plans. The technical team is it represents community, comprising over about 150 members from community-based organizations to school representatives, city and county staff. And a little bit about a background on policy team. So it really is, again, chaired by the mayor and our chief of police, but it also includes some key decision makers from our nonprofit organizations to our county partners, the district attorney's office, public defender, our school, some of our district leaders, school district leaders, and community members. And then our technical team, again, like I mentioned, is a makeup of those community-based organization and school representatives and program staff that are really implementing the work out in the community. And also part of technical team is really coming together on a monthly basis. That's when the technical team comes together. The policy team meets quarterly. So technical team is on a monthly, and it's really to come together, those different representatives that I mentioned, to discuss the climate, the youth violence that's happening on a monthly basis, what is happening and where are these incidents occurring. So San Jose Police Department will share crime data. We'll also share where the graffiti, mainly gang-related graffiti that's happening around the city. And then where are the school violent incidents happening? And so we're able to share that with the technical team, and then it's up to the different representatives. They go out into the divisions that they represent, and these are police divisions. So we have Foothill, Western, Central, and Southern. And really, that's where the work is really done, is in those breakout sessions when they're looking at all of the incidents and the climate that was shared. And then they discuss what action items and what work plan can we set in order to address it, whether it's intervening in it or being proactive to prevent any other retaliation going forward. And so that's what the division, the technical team is really about, is developing action plans to address the incidents. Other bodies that are tied to this work is the interagency subcommittee. And that is really how can we facilitate a better coordination between what we as a city is doing and what the county is doing, so we can really leverage our resources and not duplicate our efforts. We also have a community engagement group that works with community members and faith-based community, so we can share information and then connect our partners with resources. And then we might have some technical team subcommittees that we're able to discuss, okay, in each of the divisions, what are some trends that you're seeing? And so we can come together and again, make sure that we have a good plan in place. Go to the next slide. So the previous slide was really about the structure. It's really about who we are. This is about what we do and the programs and how we implement the work. This represents our city-funded programs along with grant-funded programs. And so this is an effort between what you see up there, but there are also other programs within the Alliance that are not city-funded or grant-funded that contribute to the efforts that I'll talk a little bit later in the presentation. So for the city staffed programs are all in purple, and that's the youth intervention services that Israel manages. And we have a few programs there. And really some of the key programs are a female intervention team, Safe School Campus Initiative, the Clean Slate Tattoo Removal Program, San Jose Works, Late Night Gym, and Hospital-Based Intervention. And I'll just briefly speak to what some of those programs are. And so for our female intervention team, it's really provides gender responsive intervention citywide and to schools. They do case management and support groups. And then we have our Safe School Campus Initiative program, which really offers crisis response to prevent and de-escalate incidents of violence on school campuses. We have our Clean Slate Tattoo Removal program that helps youth with prior involvement to remove their visible gang-related tattoos. So on the face, the neck, the hands, the arms, the forearms. And then we have our San Jose Works program that really connects youth who reside in one of the designated areas with valuable work experience. Our Late Night Gym really provides a safe and positive environment for kids to come in and do recreation and connect with positive adults. And then last, we have what's called our Trauma to Triumph. So this is our hospital-based intervention where it connects with victims of assault, gang-related violence. So you're connecting with them as they're in the emergency room in the hospital to really work with them and try to connect and provide resources to hopefully get them on a different path. So those are our youth intervention programs. We then have our 2 grant programs that really complement what Youth Intervention Services is doing. And the best program, which is Bringing Everyone's Strengths Together, is our largest grant program. It's about $2.7 million. And we work with our nonprofit partners to fund their programs through a request for qualification process. And so we qualify agencies on every 3 years to do this work. And some of those services are school-based programs, so youth development groups on school campuses. We also do street out intervention where staff go out into the community, into the parks, into the neighborhoods to really connect with youth where they're at. And then we have individual and whole family supportive services. So if they're working with a youth, they're also working with their entire family as well. And the Safe Summer grant, that's an annual application process. So unlike the BEST where it's a kind of a 3-year, you have to qualify every 3 years. SSIG is we do an application every year. And SSIG is a little different. It's only a 3-month program where they're doing recreation, enrichment. It's usually at a park or they're doing field trips. So it's really to keep the kids safe during the summer and keep them connected. Some of it's also connecting them to, if they're coming out of elementary, you connect them to their middle school, or if they're coming out of middle school, you're connecting them to their high school. And so that's just a little bit about the intervention and the grant programs. So here, the strategies for the Alliance are documented in our strategic work plan, and which we're currently in the process of reorganizing and extending our current plan. Our current plan ends in December 2025. And part of that reorganization is to align with our broader strategic roadmap for policy priorities and to transform some of the systems that may not be working for our youth and families, which is the Children and Youth Services Master Plan. And I think they presented here in February, Laura Buzo presented. So we really want to align with that work to really strengthen both of the efforts and really make sure we're aligning our objectives with what is already in the Youth Services Master Plan. So this current plan for the Alliance, we're looking at extending it to June 2027. And our strategies for the work that we do are really centered around 4 pillars that you see. So at the top row, our 4 pillars are prevention. So some of the work in prevention, intervention, diversion and reentry, and healing. And I'll go over some of those objectives. Also, we align it with some of the Children Youth Services Master Plan priority areas. And so what we're hoping this plan does is really to prioritize our resources and our objectives with what's needed in what we call priority neighborhoods. And the way we identify priority neighborhoods is through a process in partnership with our technical team and the San Jose Police Department. We look at where are those neighborhoods in San Jose that are experiencing most of the violent incidents related to gang. And so that's where we really want to focus in our resources, is where are those neighborhoods that have the highest need. And so that's where we really want to focus in so we can really maximize our impact with the limited resources that we have. And you'll see there our goal in partnership with the Children Youth Services Master Plan is up there, the 3rd bullet, to build healthy, safe, resilient, and prosperous families and asset abundant neighborhoods while eliminating disparities for youth and families living in those priority neighborhoods that I just described. So again, like I mentioned, part of the reorganization of our work plan was to really look at how can we focus our efforts and resources on areas that have the highest need. And so in the reorg and the extension, we really looked at, okay, what right now in prevention is really needed? Where are we seeing the need? And for prevention, we saw that it was really looking at those youth that are not getting to school, that are for some reason are not able to get to school and are not attending school. So we focused our efforts on chronic absenteeism at those schools that are experiencing the highest rate of absenteeism. And so that's where we focused in on prevention. What we also did with our objectives is we looked at what's happening now. What is what we call the baseline data? Where are we at now before we start putting our efforts there, so we can really measure what change did we make at the end of the year? So did we move the needle? Are we reducing that absenteeism rate from 38 to 24? Are we getting kids back in school? How are our efforts impacting this this issue of absenteeism? And we did that with all of our objectives that I'll show you. And within the key results is really looking at what can we do as programs and with our partners, our nonprofit partners, to meet this objective. And what we're currently doing is setting up a work plan to really look at how are we going to address our key results. Some of them we're starting the work, but some of them we still need to work through those efforts. So in intervention, it was really about how can we increase the engagement and trust among community, schools, and law enforcement. And so we looked at some key results that align with that objective. And one of them is with one of our programs that Israel manages, is our Safe School Campus Initiative. And so level 1, level 2, level 3 really describes the type of incidents that are happening on school campuses. So with level 3, you have your rumors, and jump in, Israel, if I get this wrong, because sometimes I get it backwards. Level 2, so level 3 is where you're maybe hearing something's going to happen on school campus. Level 2 is maybe there was a confrontation, right? Or maybe something. Okay. And then level 1, there's actually something that occurred. There was a fight. So there was actually something violent happened on school campus. So that's a level 1. We're really trying to look at how can we intervene earlier. So we're reducing those incidents where kids are actually committing these violent offenses against each other. So that's our effort there. I won't get to detail on all of them. I will talk a little bit about the second one is we're working with the San Jose District Attorney's Office to create what we call a harm repair, harm reduction program. So it's looking at some kids that may already been cited, they've gotten into trouble, but we don't want to lock them up. We want to create some opportunity and give them some resources to steer them in that different path. So that's something, and that's going to be focused on middle schools. And so diversion and reentry, which I didn't really go through some of the definitions, but really this is about diverting young people from incarceration. And then previously the intervention was how can we give kids positive alternatives and reducing those risk factors. And then the first one, prevention, was really how can we increase protective factors with youth so when they're faced with something stressful or something traumatic, they can then look at what can I do? Who can I go to that I can help deal with it rather than going on a different path. And so again, diversion reentry, here we thought increasing job placement, again, giving them something positive to focus on. And that's what we identified as an objective for this area. And we have some baseline data. So what programs are currently offering a job training, job placement already, and what can we do to support those programs that are offering job training and really get that number up to those youth that are being placed in jobs that people that need jobs now or that want jobs. How can we really increase those participants in those programs? And then our last one, healing, is really how can we advance trauma-informed healing approaches. So if I'm, say, a teacher or someone that is working with kids or families or youth, young adults, how can I be informed of some of the experiences that they may be going through, and I make sure I understand my role and how can I support the families and the young adults. And here we're looking at increasing access to neighborhood resources and assets. And so we're currently looking at what are the neighborhoods that may not have access to, say, a library, or they may not have access to a bus stop, and what can we do to increase those resources in those areas? And I'll turn it over to Israel.
Thank you, Petra. I have the opportunity to walk you through the numbers. So this slide shows the number of participants that we've supported in 2022, 2023, and 2023, 2024. What you'll see here is that BEST and SSIG have increased the number of participants year over year, while Youth Intervention Services, the number of youth that we served, has decreased between 2022 and 2023-24. The reason being because of some program restructuring, but also because we had less school incidents, which decreased the number of youth that we've supported. The second part of the slide shows the units of services, which is really like our efforts per youth in terms of like how much work has gone into impacting the lives of every youth that we serve through our programs. And what you can see here is that youth intervention services increases units of services, and that's primarily due to the fact that we have also closed the gap on our vacancy rates between the years of COVID and now that we've post-COVID, right? And BEST and SSIG, their numbers of units of services decreased between 2022-23 and fiscal year 23-24. And that's primarily due to the fact that they also had shifts in their model as to who they served. They're doing more one-on-one services as well as family services, which is more intensive services, which there's less units of services attributed to those categories. Let me see. Okay. In terms of program outcomes, which is the area that what we want to see is in any part of our work that we do is positive outcomes. Some of the things that we're seeing is, for example, 95% of school administrators rated the Safe School Campus Initiative overall efforts as good or excellent at keeping schools safe. This is a great barometer in regards to like the work that my staff is doing on and around school campuses, ensuring that they're coordinating with school campuses and providing real support to the youth and that are committing or getting into issues at schools. In addition to that, we also have 92% of youth felt safe in BEST grant-funded programs. And that's indicative of like connecting youth with positive adult role models, which is something that is imperative in the work that we do, because youth that we work with sometimes don't have those individuals in their lives. So our staff and our programs provide that resource to them. 89% of youth felt SSIG, which is our Safe Summer Initiative grant, was a safe program. As you can imagine, many youth in our communities sometimes don't have resources or programs available to them during the summertime, and if left alone may get into other issues in their communities because of the issues that they're facing, the increased violence in their communities. So the Safe Summer Initiative grants provides a safe place for those youth to actually like participate and stay safe during the summertime. In terms of what some of the program enhancements that we were able to do this for the last 3 years is one, like Petra mentioned, we have our technical team meetings that happen every month, which brings out over 150 community members together to provide an understanding of what's going on in their communities and our communities as it pertains to youth gang violence. And what we were able to do there is to make some changes to the MOU application process to make it more streamlined. In addition to that, we also made some changes, some format changes to the way that we collect information in our breakout sessions in order to better align the work that our members are doing and to be able to see the impact that their services are having in our communities during the month that we create those action items at Tech Team. In terms of the data management system, we are in the development of a new data management system for both BEST and youth intervention services. And why this is important is because of the fact that we want to be able to like drive the work using data. The problem that we see right now is that our data is scattered everywhere through spreadsheets, different data management systems. So we want to have a unified data system in order to like see that work as is happening so that we can make deliberate changes to program outcomes while we're actually like in the process of providing resources rather than a year goes by and we then take a look at the data and then we finally make changes. So we're able to make changes on the fly. In addition to that, we also created a new best grantee dashboard. And Petra, can you help me with that? I knew I was gonna blank on this one.
Sure. Yeah. So our grantee dashboard is really a tool that we use where we can track where our efforts are going in specific neighborhoods, primarily with the street outreach intervention, which serves some of our youth that have the highest need or have the highest risk. And so we want to be able to track where we're putting our resources. And then it helps us to see, okay, this is the area that we're really putting staff out there, we're serving but then we might have a shift in climate. Well, now we need to shift some of our resources to another neighborhood. The dashboard gives us a visualization of where the effort's happening and where we can make the shifts. So it's a really helpful tool for us as staff and for our nonprofit partners to really help deliver that service in a where it's needed more efficiently.
Thanks, Petra. And we have a new climate data index tool that that Petra and their team developed, where it combines SJPD, graffiti, and the Safe School Campus Initiative data, and we can see spikes in violence during different months, and then we're able to better support our communities, our schools, in order to decrease that that trend that we're seeing already. Looking forward, so 2026, 2029, we are moving into the best triennial progress report, progress grants, right? Or grants?
Qualification process, so the selection of the grantees.
That's right. And so every 3 years, BEST goes through this process and we select this, we create this list. And what we want to be able to do with that list is to be able to identify those organizations that will support our efforts in reducing youth gang violence in the community. Currently, there's about 19 agencies that are providing resources and services that support both schools and outside of school services. In addition to that, we are also going to be doing a program evaluation of both BEST as well as youth intervention services, which will allow us to see the type of impact that we're having, what our programs are doing, and what can we also what changes can we make in order to continue to drive the decrease in youth gang violence throughout the city. That concludes our presentation today. And now we're open for questions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
No, we don't.
Okay, then we'll move on to commission discussion. Do any commissioners have questions that they would like to ask? Commissioner Kuczynski.
Okay. So back when you were talking about how safe the youth felt in each of the programs, you said the Safe Summer Grant only has 89%. I'm curious, what accounts for the other 11%?
So that is, we use a survey and we survey the youth participants. And so they're the ones that are completing its self-reported information on how they felt at the time about the program. So that's how we determine that performance measure, is through a youth survey at the end of the Safe Summer program.
Okay. Do you have any ideas why some might be saying they didn't feel safe?
It's on a scale, so it's feeling very safe. I feel, and I'd have to reference back. I don't want to get it wrong, but it's on a scale, and so it could vary depending on their experience with the program. If they're having to travel to the program, where the program is located, so it could be a different number of different factors as to why they may not feel as safe or not rated very safe in the survey. And so it just depends on the program that they attended.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other thing, if you don't mind. Where are most of these programs located?
So we fund citywide. It is We do offer incentive to provide services in those priority neighborhoods that I mentioned. And so there are programs that are at parks within some of those priority neighborhoods or nearby the priority neighborhoods. And some do field trips, so they may take them outside of the city. But there are a lot of programs that are offered in or nearby the priority neighborhoods. That's what we really encourage the agencies to do. Do you have a more, like, are you asking like what area of San Jose?
No, I was just wondering if you guys utilize libraries and other city resources.
So we definitely encourage to use city resources, and it's up to the agency on what they include in their proposal. And so we really lean on the agency to propose the location and the type of service that they're going to provide for the summer program. For the BEST, which is our larger grant program, it's a year-long program, and so we have more time to interview the agencies and really work with them to identify those schools that are specifically located in a priority neighborhood. And there's definitely a lot more conversations with the nonprofits on where they're providing the service and what they're doing. SSIG is a smaller grant, it's a smaller timeframe, and so we really lean on the agency to propose the services and the locations. Does that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great questions. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Commissioner Singh.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. So I just had a quick question. You guys referenced the Blue Zone Initiative, how you guys are collaborating with them. So is there like a specific way you guys have collaborated with them to align your guys' goals?
Can you where did is it in the presentation or did you get it from a reference?
From a reference, yeah. So have you guys like worked with them yet so far? How is
I
that?
don't think so.
I'd have to go back and look at specifically. There have been conversations previously, but they're not something that was directly related to this presentation. So I'd
I
have to go back and look at that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, thank you.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Arroyo.
Hello, thank you for your presentations. I thought that the programs that you guys have in place are really interesting. They're very helpful and they're really good steps towards helping with youth empowerment. I didn't know that these existed, but I was just wondering how do these programs and these objectives and work plans kind of come up, and do you guys kind of list them in priority? Is there priority? Do some kind of come out as more important than the other, and how do you guys think of them and implement them?
For the programs that we outline. So for the specific programs, some of the programs are tied to the objectives that I outline, but we also have other program objectives within each of, so for say, female intervention team, they have their own program objectives in addition to some of the objectives that are in the strategic work plan. But how they decide that, and I'll also turn it over to Israel, but there are other criteria that we use to prioritize those services. It may be, again, using the priority neighborhoods, and then what schools have some of the more incidents on campus. And so that might be some criteria that we use to prioritize work for that program, but I'll let Israel.
Well, there's various factors, right? But like, for example, the female intervention team, we understood that our services, there weren't very many services supporting young women that were getting involved in the gang lifestyle. And so therefore, at the time that we created that program, there were 30% of women that were, or probationees were in juvenile hall as well as the ranch were female, and there was very little services being provided to them, or services that were being provided to them were very male centric. So therefore, we decided that it was time for us to like shift some of our resources and address the issues that females were dealing with in this area. In addition to that, though, we also take a look at the incidents on campuses. And I will tell you from my own experiences that when I went to school, there's incidents that happen on campus, kids get into fights. However, the fights that we are dealing with are really related to gang incidents. And because those fights tend to like escalate. And when they escalate, what happens nowadays with social media is that the information goes out to different schools, different youth, parents, family, everyone, and they actually show up at schools. And so what happens with us is that we're trying to like, when schools activate us, we're trying to assess what the situation is, and we're trying to reach all the points or the people that perhaps can create more violence on campus. So we're taking a look at many different factors to ensure that our programs are addressing a specific need in our community versus, generic in a sense. I hope that answers your question.
Can I just add, because that was a really great point and a great question, Commissioner Arroyo? So you mentioned that you weren't aware, and I'm sure that's a lot of students or youth that may not be aware of this effort. So what we are doing, and it's a fairly new resource that we had, it's school coordination. So what we have done is gone out to different districts and schools to share that this is a collective effort, because typically you'll get one of our partners, which is a nonprofit, that will go on campus, but the school may not know that this is part of the Alliance effort. So we're trying to bring awareness. But also when we developed the strategic work plan, we went out into communities and got input on what would you like to see us prioritize. And one of the things that we heard, and we still hear it, is we need to get youth involved in the decision making and into the efforts. And so what we added into the grant program was what we call youth-led work. So we fund Somos Mayfair, MACLA, and they work with maybe youth like you that want to get involved and help lead some of this work. So we're now funding youth-led programs, and so we're hoping that will get the word out more. And if you want to get involved, yeah, let us know.
Commissioner Pradeep Kumar.
Okay, hi, thank you so much for your presentation. So I have two main questions. The first one being, I guess, what is the San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance doing regarding like conversation around immigration? And I know that's something that's come up in schools a lot, also in my school. So I just wanted to, I don't know if I missed it, but I was just wondering what I guess you guys were doing around conversations as such.
One thing that recently, so our last policy team meeting, we meet quarterly. We had the director of our Office of Racial Equity, Social and Racial Equity, Suma Maciel. She came and presented on what her office is doing and what are some things that our community and our partners can be prepared for in case they are faced with, for example, if ICE, there's resources out there. If they're questioned about their immigration status, what are some resources they can use and who they can contact? So that's one thing that we've recently, and we've also presented at technical team, I believe, sent out those resources.
That's correct. But in addition to that, we don't ask questions about anyone's immigration status. In addition to that, the city has strict policies around sharing of information. So that's how we protect, those participants, program participants. There is a broader conversation, obviously, that is being had in regards to immigration and so forth. We understand that there's fear. I mean, I was an immigrant once, with not illegally being here in the U.S. So, I can only imagine how kids feel, the fear in them. If they are illegal, right, is a true feeling. But we're trying to minimize it by making sure that our staff are equipped with the information that they need in order to ensure that they can share with those youth and families that we serve. So our racial equity department provides us with a lot of information, resources for families that they can access if they ever find themselves in a situation that is dealing with their immigration status.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Liu.
Ms. Ruggiero? Yes. Okay, there you go. And
Sorry, let me get my mic on. Yes.
that's thank you. And thank you, Superintendent, for making this presentation. So buckle up. I have well, actually, 4 main questions. They're sort of in different subject areas, but I'm hoping that you can speak to them today. So I go to Overfelt High School, and whenever staff hears of gang incidents, there's a mom and pop store on Ocala and King
Mhm.
that is disputed between a few gangs. Whenever there's an incident that occurs that's related to gang violence, usually the first phone call isn't necessarily to the police; it's to a gang intervention team. So seeing that type of intervention from the city and seeing, not being very sensitive about the issue and meeting people where they're at there on the ground and help, there's this understanding that comes with, folks being trained to do these sorts of things. So my question to you is, I know that one of the council priority areas is community safety, and this is included within that umbrella. How will this upcoming budget condition affect your work?
It's a great question. As we haven't been informed that there is going to be any specific to our grant program. I can speak to the grant program, BEST and SSIG. I haven't been informed of any impacts to those programs as of today. I know we're still going through the budget process, but for the grant programs, we're not aware of any impacts through this next budget cycle. Israel, I don't know if you want to speak to intervention.
I haven't heard anything as well, nevertheless, I think that what's in front of us is the fact that there are youth, there are needs in our community.
Right.
And it does require a lot of effort, and it does require budget. I think that when you take a look at this type of initiatives in other cities,
Yeah.
San Jose has one of the strongest initiative
Yeah.
of, I think, nationwide.
Yeah.
And the reason being is because, the youth council prior to you all, as well as all the council members prior to, for over 30 years, have understood the significance and the importance of ensuring that this structure and this system is in place for the residents of the city of San Jose.
Thank you for that.
I will add that although we're not facing any budget reductions, we are having to look at how we implement our programs
Yeah.
and how we're utilizing the current resources that we do have. We are going through that process currently.
Awesome. Thank you. So my next question falls under the bucket of, you mentioned rehabilitation a little bit in your presentation. It's definitely one of the concepts that has been embraced by the Eastside Union High School District, and the superintendent previous to this, Superintendent Funk from Eastside Union High School District. He went to be superintendent at another school district, the community didn't reciprocate that same support for rehabilitation programs as did the community here in Eastside. So my question to you is, how effective are these rehabilitation programs? I know there's a lot of policymakers that support this concept. My question specifically is, what's the effectiveness, and what's the effectiveness in that it prevents repetition of violence?
So I believe, are you speaking to the reentry pillar or the reentry area of our work plan when you speak about rehabilitation?
Can you describe the
It's one of our pillars is reentry.
Yeah.
So when someone may be released from incarceration, and for that area, we're really partnering with the reentry services through the county.
Right.
So I don't have the specific data
Okay.
on their rehabilitation programs, but it's definitely something I could come back to you and look at some of the sources of where they're collecting that. We do also we have a juvenile probation report that the county shares with us on an annual basis. I believe we just got the 2023 2024 report. It speaks a little bit to that, but it's mainly our reentry division within the county that focuses on the rehabilitation services. So I don't have that specific data with
Okay,
me
yeah.
today.
Thank you for that. I didn't know how to phrase the question. I was like, repeat offenders. No, not really.
Yeah.
Didn't repeat any offense, but I was wondering what the success rate of those programs that you partner with, maybe the district attorney's office or something.
Yeah,
would be.
and I should clarify, this is probably a good time to do that. We have the 4 pillars, and within the full 4 pillars, our grant programs and the intervention programs fall mainly within the intervention pillar. So I should have clarified that in the beginning. And some of it falls within the prevention, and in the other areas, so reentry and diversion, and even some of the healing, we really partner with the county, the schools. And so the alliance is made up of a number of different partners and agencies. And so we're saying we can't do it all on our own. We need our different partners because it's a collective impact. And so I should have clarified that in the beginning.
Yeah, no, it sounds like we know where the basics of our children youth master plan comes from. My next question relates to employment. And I know that's a thing that's touched on in the Children Youth Services Master Plan. We received a report a while back to the Youth Commission about the San Jose Works program and how there's a limit to how many people that program supports. And there is, if I'm not wrong, there's definitely interest and there's definitely continual referral. There's more interest or referrals than the spots available in San Jose Works. So my next question is, how are you supporting with the hiring that cap so that that program supports more students and youth?
Well, I think that's a very good question. I mean, right now it is an issue of budget.
Yeah.
Is dollars, right? And we have not received an increase in capacity, money
Yeah.
to increase capacity in youth that we can accept into that program. That program is geared towards just a summer program.
Yeah.
And it's a summer experience program. Generally speaking, there's about 350 slots that are subsidized.
Okay.
The rest of the slots that Work to Future is responsible for come from the private sector, meaning that they will work with Target or other institutions, and they will provide the funding in order to like subsidize someone working in their company.
Right.
So Work to Future is working towards that part.
Okay.
But we get about youth intervention services gets about 140 slots, and those slots generally go to like the youth that we are mentoring,
Right.
so that we can keep them into positive programming. They work in the libraries, the community centers, because all of those areas, as somebody mentioned earlier, those programs and those resources that we have eventually can be a lifeline for these kids.
Right.
Because for future employment, they can then become CSAs, they can then become recreation leaders, giving them an opportunity to see, how far they can go, rather than how little they have.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think it's very interesting how you pointed out that the youth that are in those programs also participate in those local opportunities that are also on the ground near them. So that, is good for the accessibility mark, and that, they won't have to consider those factors. Okay, great. That's awesome. Amazing. And then my last question. Overfelt does a yearly school climate survey where we poll all of our 1,400 roughly students on a variety of things. But one of the statistics that I wanted to bring up was that this previous survey, 30% of students at Overfelt High School felt like they had a trusted adult in school or outside of school that they can rely on no matter what. That's a statistic, compared to other schools across the city is very low. What is the Youth Empowerment Alliance doing to make themselves visible so that these students are accessing those adults or knowing that they're there, these adults are there to support them?
So we, through the Safe School Campus Initiative, we have staff that visit Overfeld about 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So we're not like there 24/7.
Right.
But we are connecting with the most at-risk youth, high-risk youth of gang involvement at Overfeld. And so we do meet and greets with them. If we identify them as a youth that may need our one-on-one support services, we will provide that for them. In addition to that, if we can make referrals to other organizations that we're partnered with through BEST or other organizations outside of BEST, which we have a lot, we try to connect them with the right resources.
Right.
Overfelt and every high school, they have a lot of resources on campuses. Sometimes our kids do not want to access those resources because they may not be comfortable.
Yeah.
So what we do is that we help them by bridging the gap
Yeah.
in terms of like we introduce them to the counselors in a safe place,
Yeah.
in a safe environment for them so they can see them differently. Not every kid, interacts with school administration the same way that, other youth do, right? So we have to make that an opportunity for them to engage, and we do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it sounds like relationship is that bad. I'm wondering how receptive are students at high risk areas to those resources and adults that are through those individuals that are at those schools?
I think it depends, right? So what we like to say is that our staff are credible messengers, meaning that they have contact, they have an understanding of their community, they have lived in the community, they have lived experience, and therefore they're the best advocates
Yeah.
for this youth. And they know families, they know their cousins, and it just so happened that that they might have seen them as recreation leaders previously,
Yeah.
seen their cousins, their aunts, whoever in their community, and thereby they have a connection.
Yeah.
And so because they have those connections, it's easier. Doesn't make it doesn't mean that they in the first connection that we have with them, they're going to be receptive to all the services. They're gonna like sometimes push back, but because we're there consistently, they finally break, right? Like,
Right.
that ice breaks, and they're able to receive the resources that they actually need.
I, I will add that the survey that you are taking at the school, we have been in conversation with different school districts and different individual schools on how we can access that data. So we can then look at, can we prioritize certain schools that
Yeah.
are showing that they're not connecting or they're not feeling connected at school or not feeling safe? And then how can we work with our partner agencies to provide that support on campus? We can't get individual level information, right? But we can at least work with the school to say, where is your need and where can we put our resources? And then also we have a tiered approach where you might have an agency that goes on campus to engage students. And then when they are working with the students, they may find this person might need more than what I'm offering, and we have a tiered approach. So then they can refer to another program that can offer more one-on-one intervention services. So that's something that we're working on currently.
Right. Thank you both, and thank you for the work that you do. I know the program and Youth Empowerment Alliance specifically over the course of these past few decades, Overfelt has gotten a lot. The Overfelt community has gotten a lot, and other communities across East Side too has gotten a lot safer because of your work. So thank you.
Do we have any other questions or comments? No? Well, thank you so much for your presentation. We look forward to
Thank you.
further integration, and we appreciated learning more about the Youth Empowerment Alliance. So thank you. Now we'll
Thank
move
you.
on to item 5B, Youth Commission Budget Priorities Letter. I hope that all of you got a chance to look at it. Basically, it was a letter that summarized what data we got in our budget survey, the Youth Budget Priority Survey that we sent out earlier this year. and also some of the brainstorming ideas that we did at the budget summit. So first off, is there any public comment about this item?
No, we don't.
Okay, is there any commission discussion about the budget letter? Does anyone have any questions, comments about it? Okay, then we will move to a vote. Do I have a motion to approve the budget letter?
I move to approve the budget letter.
Any seconds?
Commissioner Sanchez seconds.
Please vote on your screen. The vote passes unanimously by a tally of 9-0. So then we'll move on to action item 5C, Youth Commission Fiscal Year 2024 to 2025 Annual Report. This was pretty much a compilation of all of the work that your YACs have done, the ad hocs, a summary of just things that we've accomplished over the past couple of years and how they've led into this year, and pretty much encapsulated the work that this commission's commissioners have accomplished throughout the year. So I guess we'll move on to public comment really quickly. Do you have any public comment on this item?
No, we don't.
Okay. So that being said, do we have any commission discussion about the annual report? I highly recommend you check out the report if you have not already. I think it's 50 plus pages, but it's cool to see what we've accomplished this year as a commission. With that being said, do we have any questions or comments about it? Okay, we'll then move on to a quick vote. Do you have a motion to approve the annual report?
Commissioner Sanchez, motions to approve.
Any seconds?
Commissioner Gonzalez Mejia seconds that motion.
Okay, please vote on your screen. The vote passes unanimously by a tally of 9-0. So that's all for action items. We'll now move on to item 6, reports and informational only, starting off with the council liaisons report from Anthony Montez.
Test, test. Good evening, Youth Commission. This is my first time here with y'all. My name is Anthony Montes. I am Councilmember Campos's Community Relations Coordinator. You're probably wondering, this isn't Lucas. Lucas is a lot taller now, and his last name is Montes. So I'll be taking over for Lucas for these commission meetings moving forward. Just a little bit about me. I was born and raised in South San Jose. I went to Santa Teresa High School, went to De Anza College, and then Portland State for undergrad. I love sustainable transportation. I worked for the Bike Coalition, SVBC. I don't know if you've ever heard about them. I used to work for Congress and very passionate about community service, and I want to keep doing this for the rest of my life. And I'm super impressed by all of y'all right now for going through a presentation and asking some really awesome, really good questions. So I will start kind of with an introduction about what's going on right now. We're going through a really troubling budget season. There are a lot of trade-offs that our departments are having to make sure that they can provide the same level of service, that they can provide good service, but they can't do everything. So I'm sure y'all saw, I don't know if you saw the mayor's budget message, has a lot of things in it, and it's really expansive. I think what the council member wants to do is make sure that we are focusing children and family at the center of everything that we do. Every single department, every single program really centers on the most vulnerable and on children and family. We also want to make sure that economic development is something that we do, and we do it bottoms up, right? It's supporting small businesses, it's supporting workforce development. Right now, we talked a little bit about Work to Future, right? And there's some really great work being done at San Jose Works around that. and with the library system, doing the career, the pathway program there. And you should get some updates at some point, hopefully. I'll leave it there. But there's going to be a lot of good work there to be done. The other piece of this is public safety, right? And I think we want to make sure that we have good response times when you call, that you get good response times, and that we're not asking the police to do everything, right? I think sometimes police are asked to be they're asked to be a therapist. They're asked to be law enforcement. They're asked to be social worker. They're asked to be, dealing with the homeless, right? There's so many problems that they have to deal with, and they're really trained to only handle a handful of them. And asking them to do a lot more is challenging, and it's not really fair to them. So I think that there's different alternatives for how we approach policing, and I think a part of that is doing some creative stuff around mental health support, and having people out there that are trained to do that mental health support. And there's a great program that does this already. So supporting some of the good things, right? And centering small businesses, centering the the community infrastructure is what we call it. So that's broadly right now what we're working on. There is some internal stuff that's not open to the public yet. And you'll get at some point, you'll get real like you already had a general broad strokes in terms of what's in the budget, but in the next couple of weeks you'll get a better understanding. And that's why I want to flow into the budget season calendar. I wanted to point out one day, May 12th, is going to be a really, really busy day. There's going to be a series of study sessions that's going to go over really detailed briefs on what's in the budget. And May 12th in the morning, there's a neighborhood services study session. In the morning time, it's the operating budget, which is more like, staff and admin, things like that. And then in the evening, it's a capital plan overview. And capital is when you're building things, roads, facilities, that kind of stuff. But that day in general, it has a bunch of different study sessions, including on public safety. And again, the capital program is actually a really huge deal. When you're talking about building anything, you're talking about capital. Those are two separate tracks. We also are looking forward to the Youth Commission's tree planting next week. Who's leading that by chance? Who's here? Is it? Yeah, nice. Thank you. So thanks for doing it with the BRNA. Really looking forward to that. And then we'll be also at this the Cinco de Mayo festival and parade. Is anybody going to that by chance? Yeah. So make sure you wave to the council member. She's going to be in one of the lowriders, and I'll be her bodyguard. So I'll be seeing you there too. All right, with that, it's very general. I can get into specifics if you need to based on your questions, if you have any.
Thank you for that report. Do any commissioners have questions? Commissioner Liu.
Mr. Montes, welcome to the San Jose Youth Commission. Always nice to see you. Okay. My question, it's going to get a little specific, but I think council has touched on it actually a little bit, and I hope that you could touch on it and talk about it a little. I think it's a very important topic for our youth commission, my youth commission colleagues to hear about. Could you give us the basic rundowns of what's happening with park funding amongst the city council right now?
What's happening with park funding?
Park funding, yeah.
Okay, in terms of, well, it depends. There's, I would say, well, are you talking like in terms of being able to do certain specific because PRNS is massive, so they do a lot of different types of services. One of the things that I can say is there is really good investment in the Beautify program, right? So that's like doing the dumpster days, doing the graffiti cleaning, doing a lot of that like work to do maintenance and to do community collaboration. there is a lot there. But there are other parts that aren't as well funded. Are you talking like specifically building them out or?
Well, Councilmember Ortiz, during council meeting had brought
Mhm.
up, the unequitable distribution of funding to maintaining these parks in, various
Yeah.
areas of the city. So I was wondering if you speak specifically to that.
So what he's speaking to is the way that they do the metrics for how they grade the quality of the parks, of all the parks, right? And there was a council meeting, I think last month, that really, there was an item on it and really detailed, but essentially is in the last several years, they reduced the way that they were graded because it was becoming impossible to meet the old metrics, right? It was becoming, in a way, sometimes unfair to be at a specific to be graded at a specific level, the way we're structuring it before. So now the way they do it, it's much more simpler. But I think that what Councilmember Ortiz is pointing at is like it might be simpler, but it's also you're not getting the qualitative understanding of what the park is really going through and how people are actually experiencing it. So especially in his district, I know that I've talked to his staff about how there'd be graffiti on playground sets that would be there for weeks, and they would get reported and reported and reported, and nothing would happen. So he sees the disinvestment in his district, and he's pointing to that specific policy, right, of how we grade how we grade our parks, and wants to see if we could figure out a way to provide more qualitative analysis about how we can improve that and make it so that it really reflects the experience of the constituents. So definitely feel for that district.
Thank you so much. And yeah,
Mhm.
as we're doing a tree planting event in a park, I think it's important for us to, touch on that and be aware of, what's going on with our parks in that aspect.
Yeah, and I'll add that doing the Adopt a Park and doing all of that, that is a way of increasing capacity within the community, right? I'm trying to remember exactly, but we are at like similar staffing levels, or I think in the last 10 years, but we're just doing a lot more. I think that was one takeaway from an item that was there last month is like PRNS, especially staff, is asked to do so much in terms of organizing volunteers, organizing these different events, but their staffing levels have basically remained flat. So every year we're squeezing more and more and more out of staff. Doing the Adopt a Park says neighborhood associations, community members, you are going to take ownership of your park, of your community, and you're going to be, getting some elbow grease by putting shovel to ground and making sure that the space in your community is well maintained, and that you take pride in it. And if in doing so, you're actually making it more welcoming. You're building a sense of place and a sense of community. So thank you for doing that next week. Looking forward to it.
Any other commissioners? I had one question about the budget. So you mentioned that there's going to be a lot of tough trade-offs.
Yeah.
What are just like a snapshot of what you think those tough trade-offs are going to look like, and maybe what departments might be impacted by those tough trade-offs, if you could? I know it's early into the season, but just like a brief like headline, if that makes sense.
I'll go with what's already relevant, and that what's already something that's already public is like the Measure E reallocation itself. That alone is something that the council member takes pause. And it's mainly because it's a permanent reallocation. So this is a property transfer tax that is supposed to be going to address our housing crisis in a variety of buckets, which is preventing homelessness, um, building affordable housing, and then building the in between, the interim housing, right? And this is the housing for people who are going from being unsheltered, right, into something in between. And it's supposed to be temporary until they get on their feet and they're out there either in permanent supportive housing if they have that level of need, right? Or hopefully have a job and then be able to go back into the regular housing market. They're going to reallocate the distribution to 90% in interim housing, and 5% is always set for administration and only 5% for preventing. I think that's about right. So that means that all of the Measure E property transfer tax funding is going to go to, most of it is going to be going to interim shelters, not to building the mix of housing that we need. And it's not really focused on the housing for children, for women who are single and are homeless. The housing director last week right here told my boss that about 30% of the people that they found along the creek when they were cleared it out, that 30% of them were single women with children. So I think for us, it's about making sure that that housing is really focused on that 0 to 5 age, because when you're that young, you need to crawl, you need to move, there's a lot that happens in early childhood development. So creating interim housing that helps with that development and helps families get out of the area of the creek, or out of tents, or out of the RVs, I think is something that should be a high priority. And the council member thinks is a high priority. In terms of trade-offs, I don't feel comfortable quite saying there. It will become clear pretty soon, but we're doing a lot of work around that. And then making sure again that we're not spending money in things that are short-term, that don't have a good return, and don't focus on community and students and children. We know where all of our money goes for our budget. Actually, do we know where most of it goes by chance? Police and fire. Vast majority goes to police and fire. And then a lot of it goes to retirement and making sure that we're solvent for that, because that's a big part of the promise we made to workers from the past and workers now is that they'll have a good pension. So that's the focus. In terms of trade-offs, it'll become clear. Right now, I can't speak to that.
No worries. Thank you. Nice to know that children are at the forefront of priorities. Any other commissioners have questions? Okay. Thank you so much for your report. Looking forward to see you at future meetings. We will now move on to the PRNS report from Ms. Box.
Good morning, commissioners, good evening, commissioners and members of the public. Forgive me. All right, just a moment. I will share my screen. All right, perfect. Thank you again for having me. My name is Lauren Box, Recreation Superintendent for the Department of Parks, Recreation, Neighborhood Services. This evening, I am going to share with you all a few updates on behalf of the department. So as some of my counterparts mentioned previously, new to the Community Services Division, we're happy to announce that Laura Buzo will be the Division Manager of Youth Intervention Services, along with Aurelio Bailey overseeing the Beautify SJ side of the house within Community Services. Both of these women come with a long and robust tenure, not just with the City of San Jose, but with other agencies as well. And we're happy to have them in the PRNS family and looking forward to seeing the work that they produce and the impact that they will have in the coming years. If you haven't already heard, our 2024 Community Impact Report is out. This is our culminating report at the end of each calendar year, really, of all the great work and all the impacts that we've had as a department in the community and in programs and services that we provide. So previously it was mentioned on park infrastructure updates and things like that. So there was a report to NSE, but you can see some of that in here as well, along with our volunteer management program, which is the Adopt a Park program as well. And you'll see information about the Children's Youth Services Master Plan as well. In terms of recruitment, we have quite a few big ticket items coming up, or ongoing, I should say. So if you're looking to have a fulfilling career with the city of San Jose, we are hiring park rangers and senior park rangers. And that's an ongoing recruitment. So if you're on the fence, you still have some time to apply and reach out to members of our park ranger team, ask them questions, and troubleshoot any questions or concerns that you might have. On the same side of the house, our friends at Happy Hollow Park and Zoo are looking to add a new zookeeper to their roster. So if you have a passion for animals, there's a nice home for you there as well. And in the spirit of the summer season, we are looking to fill some positions within our aquatics team. So assistant pool manager, swimming pool manager, lifeguards, and lifeguard instructors. So don't worry if you're not a savvy swimmer, we'll get you up to speed and help you with all of those certifications so that you can have a robust summer out at our pools this year. We are also hiring another division manager within the department as well, supporting our administrative services division. And then we have a parks manager position that will also be coming about in these next few days. So keep an eye out on city jobs for that. But all of that information and other departments' vacancies can be found on the Human Resources website as well. Within the Recreation Division, we're happy to share that on April 7th, in partnership with our Capital Division, we unveiled a new play structure and shade structure at the Vietnamese American Cultural Center. So if you haven't had an opportunity to see that on our social media and you live in the area, definitely swing by and take a look. It's a beautiful addition to the facility and will get great impact, especially with the summer season coming. And in the spirit of other celebration, on the 16th of April, we hosted our annual volunteer recognition event at Happy Hollow Park and Zoo. This is an opportunity for all of our volunteers across the department. So from our community centers to our parks to our Beautify and Community Services Division. We come out and recognize and celebrate all of our volunteers, presents awards. Several council members were out as well, along with department leadership. And you can find some really cute and cool reels on our social media page as well to get a good snapshot of the event itself. And like I said, the summer season is upon us, so our community activity guide is available at your local community center and online as well. And registration for our summer classes has taken place, and there are still spots available for summer camps if you're looking for a cool place for your kiddo to hang out or a sibling. That information is all available online as well. In our Capital Division, I won't read off all of them, but they are hard at work in all of these areas, from Arena Green to Almaden Lake Park to Quail Hollow to Palmillo Park Playground, making some great upgrades for residents across the city and improving those spaces. Many of these projects have either just come to a conclusion, are midway, and or just getting started. So more to come in the coming year. As previously mentioned, our Community Services Division has had a robust April as well. Hopefully some folks got out and participated in the Great American Litter Pickup. That was on April 19th in celebration of Earth Day. And so it's a citywide event to help beautify our city and get rid of some unwanted trash and treasures along our streets and roadways. And in the spirit of that, if you guys are looking for a presentation regarding the importance of litter pickup and things of that nature, our community services team has a presentation, and they'll come out to local elementary, middle, and high schools to make a presentation about the importance, what to look for, and even supply materials so schools or students, can organize their own miniature Great American Litter Pickup with their school campus. And that information can be found on the department website as well. And in other side, of Community Services, our San Jose Youth Empowerment Alliance is supporting the National Youth Violence Prevention Week that actually begins today and it runs until May 2nd. So throughout the course of the week, you'll be seeing things on our social media web pages, to support the National Youth Violence Prevention Week. And our partners at the San Jose Public Library will also be sharing resources with members coming into their facility. And lastly, our Parks Division. Hopefully many of you got to partake in the most recent Viva Chi SJ, but we just celebrated our 10th birthday of Open Streets events. And with that, we have another one coming up on June 8th. And I believe they just released the route, so you can head on over to our social media page, both on Facebook and Instagram, to check out that route. But with the school year coming to an end as well, if you're needing to get some extra volunteer hours, our volunteer management unit continues to host their Sunday park events. So if you need a couple of hours on a Sunday and willing to get up a little early, those are available. There is a pre-registration that's required. And again, that information can be found on our department website. And with that, please make sure to give us a follow and like on all of these social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube. And I will be here if there's any other questions.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments? No? Okay, I just have a quick comment. I know you mentioned a couple of meetings ago about the renovations that are going on at Danza Park, and I was driving by the other day and I saw them renovating the playground and the basketball court. So I thought that was pretty cool to see the reports that you give in action. So yeah, thank you so much for your
Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
You too. Appreciate it. We will move on to the San Jose Library Report by Vidya Kilambi.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Vidya Kilambi, Division Manager of Education and Learning Pathways, here to provide the library update. As a city department leading the city's education initiative, the library has created the San Jose Educator of the Year Award to honor local educators during Teacher Appreciation Week, May 5th to 9th, 2025. This year, we received 100 nominations across all 10 city council districts. For additional information, please visit our website, sgpl.org. On May 28, 2025, the library, alongside San Jose Mayor, council members from District 3 and 7, and Santa Clara County supervisors proudly announced the unveiling of Tech Hubs powered by SJ Access. Tech Hubs provide residents access to on-site tech devices, internet and digital skill building training, all for free with personalized support for bilingual staff. Each Tech Hub is open at least 20 hours per week and is expected to serve over 3,400 residents annually. To learn more about Tech Hubs, please visit sjpl.org/sjaccess. It's time to honor the vibrant cultures and significant contributions of individuals with roots across the vast Asian continent and the Pacific Islands. This commemoration began as a week-long event following congressional resolution in late 1970s and is officially expanded and designated as a month-long AAPI observance annually in 1992. For events, recommended reads, and online resources, please visit sjpl.org/AAPI month. National Pet Month is here, which is in May, and it's perfect time to celebrate our incredible animal companions. Join us in discovering fascinating facts and heartwarming tales with curated pics and activities, perfect for anyone who loves animals. For more information, please visit our website, sjpl.org/petmonth. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have questions or comments? Well, thank you for your report. Looking forward to it next month as well. We will now move on to the commission chair report. So just a quick rundown of things. On May 8th, which is after school next Thursday, we have or not after school, it's during school, sorry, at 1:30. We have an NSC presentation basically running down our annual report and everything that we did as a commission this year. meeting, our items for the May meeting, which is May 19th, should be should be finalized by April 30th, which is in 2 days, just because a lot of things tend to get piled on into that meeting and it's a week earlier than usual. So if you could get those in by April 30th, that would be great. We've been invited to the Mayor's State of the City on May 17th, and it would be great if we could all show up and show camaraderie there. Um, for our end of year retreat, which is in June, we can nominate people from our YAC to receive awards based on the Youth Commission pillars. And so those nominations for the people that you will be awarding or recognizing at the ceremony are due by the May meeting. And then lastly, we have a tree planting that the mayor will be attending on May 10th at Basking Ridge Park. It is highly encouraged that we all show up because it shows great camaraderie and also bolsters team chemistry. And also, we've put in a lot of work into the tree planting, and it's a part of our work plan. So it'd be great if everyone could come and invite their yaks and anyone you know as well. That concludes the chair report. So we move on to District 1's not here. So District 2, Commissioner Pradeep Kumar.
Okay, hi everyone. So over the past 2 months, we had a total of 4 YAC meetings, and they mainly consisted of finishing up our policy and I guess discussing recruitment for next year's YAC. Additionally, we have been, I guess, wrapping up YAC in general, talking about, different things we did this year and things we want to see for next year. So it's pretty great. Then I also had the opportunity to attend the Adopt a Storm Drain event with the District 1 office and District 7's Creative Futures Fair. And I think that was pretty cool as well. So that's all I have. Yeah.
Thank you. District 3, Commissioner Sanchez.
So some things that I've done in the past month. We had a Great America Cleanup litter pickup, and we were able to have 65 participants, of which 5 might have been or were my yak. And then another thing that happened during that, 168 bags of trash were picked up throughout all of my district. And it was a really good way to learn about different opportunities happening around District 3. I met with the chief and a lot of the police from the SJPD. They showed us a lot of opportunities that youth can have in San Jose, and it was a really good way to learn about all of them. And yeah, that's pretty much all we did.
Thank you. District 4, Commissioner Arroyo.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. So for my yak, in honor of Earth Day, we recently had our eco swap this Sunday. It went very well. It was hosted at the Berryessa Branch Library, and it was very fun. And lots of clothes were donated and taken by people in the community. And whatever remained, which was about 5 full bags of clothes, were donated to Sacred Heart. Okay, coming up, we do have our racial inequity event online on Zoom on May 18th in the morning. And we also have mark your calendars for AIM, Advise, Inspire, Motivate, in collaboration with District 1 and District 10 on June 13th at room 225 in the MLK Library. And on top of that, my homelessness team actually volunteered last week at Second Harvest to help distribute food for the people in need. And that is all I have. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. District 5, Commissioner Liu.
Yeah, so earlier in March, I had the opportunity to be a panelist at the Common Sense Media Summit in San Francisco, and we engage in national conversations surrounding youth, families, and education. That was a really cool opportunity to see the intersection of multiple things, well-being, technology, and public policy all in one space. It was really centered around young people, and it's definitely a space where I, as a young person, felt really supported and empowered to be able to share my voice and perspective. Aside from that, we hosted a few YAC meetings with local organizations such as South Bay Changemakers to talk about Eastside San Jose's priorities, especially going to this budget year. We also met with Councilmember Ortiz's staff members to also discuss some of those priorities along with other YAC meetings focused on the budget. Another thing that we're working on is we're finalizing a policy memo on we're working to implement the memo requiring brick and mortar stores to accept cash as a form of payment to increase accessibility to those who don't have access to digital forms of payment. Along with that, we're continuously engaging with Eastside leaders to attend and engage events. I know that we're working to table at a lot of these neighborhood association events and events that will provide us an opportunity to do more outreach about the Youth Commission. One of them that's coming up is that Cinco de Mayo parade. I'm glad that some of my commissioners are joining me. Shout out to them. We hope that, that Cinco de Mayo event will give us an opportunity to engage with our communities.
Thank you, Commissioner. District 6, Commissioner Bunzel.
Okay, happy April, almost May. So like as we all know, commission is slowing down. So that means that, or for at least my YAC, we're having less meetings. We're just trying to keep it strong so we can pass it on to the next commissioner, whoever that may be. And then I have been pushing this on every senior, but can you guys please fill out the form? Megan and I have just like, we've been hunting everyone down, but if you guys can fill it out whenever you get a chance, that'd be great. It's almost May 1st, as we all know. So commitment day is coming up. And I'd love to get a post as soon as we can, just out there for the public. And then also I'm working on YAC nominations for the end of the year event, and then also just working to plan that. So like the music and like promotions, and I'm also working on like a formal invite for everyone. So that'll be sent out to your families and everything. And so keep a lookout for that in your inbox. But overall, just a pretty chill month, winding down. But yes, thank you.
Thank you. District 7 is not here, so we'll move to District 8, Commissioner Gonzalez Munoz.
Hi, so I don't really got that much, but we usually have our neighborhood association meeting every first Monday of the month from 6:30 to 8 o'clock. But for the month of May, we'll have the meeting on Tuesday the 6th. We'll also have our litter pickup we also have our litter pickup every second Saturday of the month from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. As well as on June 14th, we're gonna have a dumpster day / litter pickup, both in the same day. Um, as well as we will be working with Miss Varela. Varela is she's a staff member at Orfeld High School that helps bring 20 to 25 youth every time that like miss school, miss their classes, are tardy, or like don't cooperate with the rules, etc. Um, we'll also also we have our second harvest distribution is every third Saturday of the month. And last distribution, we served more than 200 families, which was a big accomplishment for us. And that's pretty much it. That's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you. District 9, Commissioner Singh.
So this month was a little slow. We had a YAC meeting on Zoom regarding like wrapping up end of the year. We're trying to have more outreach so we can get new members, as basically my whole YAC is seniors. Other than that, we had with the Lee Environmental Club, we had a campus cleanup. I believe it was 2 Saturdays ago, or not this last Saturday, but the one before that. We had a campus cleanup, and some of the YAC members helped out, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. District 10 here. We partnered with our local neighborhood association to host a talk that included the mayor, so we got to listen to his budget message. We also had a meeting with Congressman Panetta, just talking about the federal government and some local and current events that were taking place. We also hosted a cleanup at Almaden Lake Park because we adopted that park. And we're currently working on winding things down on the YAC side. On the Youth Commission side, I attended the Adopt a Drain event with District 1's council office and Commissioner Pradeep Kumar, who was also there. And I finished up some reports for including the budget message and the just annual report things. And that's pretty much all I did this month on my side. So we'll move to Citywide Commissioner Kuczynski.
All right, so this month has been a little bit slow for us. We've been focusing on leaving room for people to do schoolwork since APs and finals are coming up soon. But besides that, we've been focusing on commissioner apps the most. Since most of my YAC members are from different districts, there's been quite a few applications that have come in from my YAC. And then after that, we've been focusing on planning for summer and getting ready for next year. I'm also planning a reorg for my whole YAC for next year. I'm thinking of doing something different for how we conduct meetings and also our leadership team. And finally, I'm going to figure out my YAC nominations. I've been thinking about it quite a bit.
Thank you. We will move on to item 7. We're done with item 6. Items for future commission agenda, meeting agenda. Do we have any commissioners that would like to propose an item for our future meeting? And keep in mind that our next meeting is our last one in May. No? Okay, we will move on to item 8 then, meeting schedule and agenda items. Our next meeting will be on Monday, May 19th, 2025 in council chambers. And with that, we will move to item 8-9, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Commissioner Gonzalez Mengiz motions to adjourn.
Any seconds?
Commissioner Sanchez seconds.
Okay. Please vote on your screen. The motion to adjourn passes unanimously, and we are adjourned at 8:05 p.m.